alaikum, Sayyid. Hey, it's a beautiful day, but I'm not happy.
Why are you not happy?
Because some of you are not behaving when it is time for salah. It seems we're going to start sending some of you to the principal's office. I think we have to do this because some people were pushing each other, they were laughing and jumping. Even in the second rak'ah, we're in the middle of the salah and people were jumping and running, and this is not acceptable. And I think you promised me yesterday that you're going to pray properly. So tomorrow is your last chance. If I see misbehavior, principal's office, bye-bye. No, those who misbehave, inshallah. So today, inshallah, we'll continue our discussion about dua. We mentioned yesterday that dua is a very powerful tool. When you raise your hands and ask Allah to give you something, or you have a problem and you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer your dua. Especially when you make dua for other people. They are in a difficulty and you cannot help them financially or in any other way. So at least raise your hand and say, Ya Allah, help them. Ya Allah, make it easy for them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the reward for your dua. And as we mentioned, if you ever face any difficulty, ask your parents to make dua for you, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will most likely answer their dua. But sometimes there is a problem. We make dua and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't answer the dua. Sometimes some of us make dua and they are desperate and Allah doesn't answer their dua. And there are a few reasons. Number one, if we're not behaving, or if we're doing something haram, or we're eating from haram. And say, for example, if there is a thief, someone who steals money from people, or someone who sells drugs or alcohol or any other haram item, and they make dua to Allah, do you think Allah will answer their dua? No. There is actually a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ on someone will go for the Hajj and they travel for weeks or months and they go Ash'af Akbar and they make dua and they raise their hands and they say Ya Rab, Ya Rab, and the Prophet ﷺ said Anna yustajabu lahu. How can Allah answer their dua? They are eating from haram, they are doing haram things all the time, they're committing haram things, sins. How can Allah answer them? So if you want Allah to answer your dua, you have to eat from halal. And some of the Sahaba, they said that Allah answered their dua all the time because they were eating from halal resources. They were not doing the haram things. So this is number one. Number two, if you make an unacceptable dua, like say for example, you have a friend and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed their family with money, they have a huge house, you know, they live a very comfortable life, and you're very jealous of them, and you make dua that Allah will destroy him and his family. Ya Allah, burn their house to the ground. Ya Allah, take them. I hope their car will break down in the middle of the highway and, you know, a flood will destroy, something like this. This is called i'tida in dua. You are committing aggression in dua and Allah doesn't answer this. Especially if you are making dua against someone who is decent and they're good. How can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answer such a dua? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah A'raf, إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ أُدْعُوا رَبَّكُمْ تَضَرُّعًا وَخُفْيَةً. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with devotion, with sincerity, but don't make transgression in dua. Sometimes, yani hatta in the Jum'ah khutbah, some of the khatibs, they say, Ya Allah, destroy America, destroy Europe, destroy Australia, destroy Canada. We are living in Canada. If Allah were to answer your dua and destroy us, Anatolia will be destroyed, or Maingate will be destroyed. And there are so many innocent people, non-Muslims, who live in these countries, and there are decent people. Whenever there is a flood in a Muslim country, in Pakistan, or there is a problem in a Muslim country, they send donations and they're trying to help. So now you are making dua to destroy them. I remember one time I was in Egypt and the khatib was giving a talk, and at the end of the talk he was making dua against a particular non-Muslim country, and he said, Ya Allah, destroy them, all of them. And the brother next to me was from that country, and he was not happy, and he said, you look, the khatib is making dua against my mother. And my mother is a good woman. She's not harming anyone. Why is he making dua against everyone? Right? So if someone did something wrong to you, maybe you make dua for hidayah for them, that Allah will give them hidayah, so they don't bother you anymore. Right? So this is also another way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not answer the dua. Number 3, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may delay the answer to the dua, or maybe He will not answer in this dunya. So say for example, there is a hadith that when Musa alayhi salam made dua against Pharaoh, the answer came after 40 years, according to some narrations. After 40 years. And the ulama have different opinions why the answer was delayed and so on and so forth. But Allahu A'lam, what the reason was. I mentioned before that sometimes we have a difficulty or a problem. And as soon as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers your dua, He gives you whatever you're asking for. You're desperate for a job, or someone is looking for a wife, or someone was laid off, or any problem. So you keep making dua and crying and praying, and as soon as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers your salah, you just run away. You don't make dua anymore, you don't pray anymore. And this is mentioned in many places in the Quran. So maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to keep your company. He wants you to keep making dua to Him, and keep praying to Him. And this is why He would delay the answer of the dua. And sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows that if He answers this dua, if He gives you this job, something horrible will happen to you. Or if He allows you to marry the person, something miserable will happen to you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't answer this dua. So you want to get this job, or go to this school, or marry the person, and He will give you something else, because it is better for you. And He will give you the reward for your dua in akhirah. If He doesn't answer your dua the way you want it, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is best for you. So regardless of what happens, keep making dua. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't answer your dua in dunya, He will give you the reward in akhirah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our dua and give us hidayah and help us behave when it is time for salah. Ameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa sallam.
Mustafa, there's a sister doing the surgery right now, like brain surgery. Can we make dua for her? Like she عندها ورم في المخ. So yeah, can we please make dua?
Inshallah, we make dua for the sister that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give her shifa. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give her shifa, a long and healthy life, and give her a healthy life and a long and an obedient life to Him, inshallah. Ameen, ameen, jazakallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give her patience, and give her family patience in this difficult time. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.